Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle. This is the latest episode of New Music Friday. It is November 19th, 2021, and this is the show where I give you guys the top prog headlines of the week and count down the top 5 and give you a little bit of an update on what's going on with my channel. And so hopefully there's something cool here for you. There's some pretty interesting news this week. A lot of big name newer prog bands with some interesting news that I found. A lot of bands that are close to me and that I really love. You know, nothing like super groundbreaking that I uncovered, like little blips here and there, but I think there's enough here to make a good show out of. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. So first, headline number 1, I wanted to do this as kind of a catch-all of a bunch of different things that are going on. This is the touring news roundup. A bunch of bands released concert dates and new rescheduled tours and things of that nature. So I thought I'd group them all together in this first headline. So the first one is Dream Theater's North American tour dates have been rescheduled. They had planned to do a run of shows this fall, I believe probably taking place about now in this time. But they had to reschedule them, of course, because of COVID. So they finally announced the dates for this rescheduled tour of North America. And really exciting for me because they're coming near where I live in LA on February 5th at the Microsoft Theater. And I actually picked up tickets for that, so I'm excited. That should be a fun one. But they're going all over North America, from Mesa, Arizona to Detroit to Boston to all throughout Canada, New York, Atlanta, Texas, just all the different areas throughout North America. They're pretty much hitting most of the major markets here. So definitely a tour to look forward to. Their latest album, A View from the Top of the World, was really strong. So I think this should be a fun show that showcases, I imagine, several songs from that album, as well as a variety of other stuff, I'm sure. And it's always a spectacle to behold Dream Theater because they're just so talented and have so much going on instrumentally that they always put on a great show. Next, Leprous announced a tour in North America for March to April 2022. So another big name in the prog sphere, another band that released a really great album during this year, Aphelion, which was one of my favorites of the year. So another great seminal prog band doing a big tour. This should be a fun one as well. Looks like they're touring with the Ocean Collective as the opener, so that should be kind of fun. More of a darker, heavier prog show this will be, but they're starting to sell tickets to these shows, and just like the Dream Theater one, they're going all over North America, from Canada to Philadelphia to Texas. They're coming around here in the LA, Pomona area, Colorado, Chicago, all these different places. So check out those dates if you're interested in Leprous on tour. And then finally, another big one for me personally, the Deer Hunter are performing their full new album for their spring 2022 tour. So they announced, so this is kind of almost an album announcement at the same time. I knew this was coming. They released the Indigo Child as kind of a little bit of a teaser for the world that they're exploring with their new albums. So this one's going to be called Anti-May. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that completely right, but Anti-May, which will be coming sometime around this tour, I imagine, sometime probably in March. And they're have two very interesting openers. The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die, which is a band that had their own headlining tour with Bent Knee opening for them. So kind of a cool indie alternative prog-related band that I think fits kind of in this space with the Deer Hunter of these more modern. And, you know, I know there's been some talk in the comments and so forth of like what's really prog, what's not prog. I know some of these bands don't even really like to be called prog and are just, you know, they just want to be known as themselves and that they do their own unique style of music. So when I call them prog, maybe that's a little bit of a misnomer sometimes, but I just kind of group all of that music together that I enjoy, that I think is progressive and really expanding the boundaries of music as we know it is kind of how I think about it. So, and that could be done in a variety of ways. So that's a great, cool indie kind of alternative band that's with them. And Oh Brother vocalist Tanner Merritt as well will be joining them as an opener. And like I said, the Deer Hunter will be playing their new album in full, plus additional songs voted on by the Deer Hunter community. So there's apparently going to be some kind of poll or some kind of comment thread or something that they'll be putting up, I'm sure, for people to request songs for them to play on tour. So should be a really cool tour. I'm really excited about it. Tickets should be going on sale today, I believe. And they're doing a really cool smattering of dates across North America as well in several different locations. So check that out if one of these hits close to you. For me, I believe it's kind of an early March date that looks like it might be possible. So kind of weighing out my options with that. I'm interested in all these different tours and concerts and trying to figure it out. I already have like 4 different concerts scheduled and on the books for 2022, which is unusual for me. I'm not a guy who goes to a lot of shows just because of my anxiety issues and things like that. But I'm excited to get out there, and it's been a long time since I've been at a concert due to COVID and all the other restrictions. So this should be kind of a fun time to venture out, and just tons of bands are going out and touring right now. It's really cool, and hopefully these tours go off really well and are really fun. So that's item number 1. Second item on the agenda here, headline number 2, are a couple new singles that have been released by notable prog bands this week. One of them that I wanted to mention is the new StarOne single, Fate of Man. Like I've mentioned a few times on the show, the new StarOne album is called Revel in Time. It's Arjen Anthony Lucassen's big project, aside from Arjen, where he focuses more on the metal, prog metal of his sound. And each track is based on a different sci-fi movie or show. In this particular album, they're all dealing with time travel in some way or another. And this will be coming out February 18th on Inside Out Music. So it's an album I've really been looking forward to. And they released a single already before that was really fantastic. And now this one is another great one based on Terminator, Fate of Man. It's kind of a heavier track. It's kind of more in line with what you'd expect from those earlier StarOne albums, and it's just really a cool track, kind of leaning into that metal side of Arjen Lucassen's sound, and it features vocalist Brittany Slays from Unleash the Archers, and guitarist from Symphony X, Michael Romeo. So definitely some interesting guest stars. As usual, Arjen always has like different guest vocalists coming on board and guest musicians. So it's always a big project with lots of different people contributing, and I'm sure many of you out there will be familiar with several artists. He does a little bit of a guessing game on his social media of different artists that are going to be on the album. So that's been a fun kind of piece to all this as well. So it's just a really fun time to be had with this whole StarOne project being unveiled. And everything that's come out so far sounds really great. The other new single is from Big Big Train called Proper Jack Froster. And this is kind of cool to be released right now because kind of evocative of the holiday season, a little kind of a wintry, almost Christmas theme to it. Basically, it's based on childhood experiences of Greg Sponton, having this house near this kind of snowy area where they do different sledding and things like that. And so it's just evocative of his childhood and his memories of living in this area during his childhood and then moving away from his childhood sweetheart. So kind of a sad, bittersweet ending. But, this is a cool little song. It's really nice. I've been listening to it. I think it's really captures the spirit of the band. There's some horns and some other elements at play. There's a great guitar solo. It has all of the great Big Big Train elements, and I think it's really great. So this is going to be one of the tracks from their upcoming album, Welcome to the Planet, on January 28th, which is quite a quick turnaround from their previous album, Common Ground, which came out this year. So they're really cooking with gas here. They really are taking this new lineup they kind of have formulated and really doing a lot with it. They're going to go on some tour dates. So just a lot going on in the Big Train camp that I think is worthy of attention. So should be a pretty fun time to experience the band. So I just wanted to point your direction towards that new single, and your direction, point you towards the new album coming out, and just the excitement for the band in general, really. Another headline number 3. This has been something I've kind of been following a little bit, so I wanted to mention it as one of my news items this week. Is Jonas Lindbergh releases a trailer for new album Miles from Nowhere. So this is a new release that's going to be coming out on Inside Out Music. Much like many of these things I'm talking about, they're kind of the hub right now of a lot of progressive rock, at least a lot of the more mainstream prog rock that I tend to like. So anytime there's a new release from them, I'm kind of on board and interested. So this is coming out February 18th, called Miles from Nowhere is the album announcement. It's a follow-up to 2016's Pathfinder, featuring 7 songs spanning the full range of the prog rock landscape, from the Soaring Summer Queen, via folksy instrumental Astral Journey to the closing title track, a sprawling 25-minute epic featuring Jonas Stolt of the Flower Kings and Transatlantic on lead guitar. So really sounds like a release that's right up my alley. That's why I keep mentioning it. I heard the trailer and it sounds like music that I really would enjoy, so I'll definitely link that trailer in the description. Really excited. Of course, the involvement of Jonas Stolt puts me in an excited mood, which I heard little inklings. Maybe I'll save it for a future show, but little inklings of a new Flower Kings release coming next March. So that's something to look forward to as well in this kind of realm. But yeah, Jonas Lindbergh is kind of a new artist to me, but it sounds like he's done some albums here, and that he's really a cool symphonic prog artist that has a lot of love for the same types of bands that I love. So definitely sounds promising, and just want to point everyone's attention to check it out. Check out the trailer, see what you think, and maybe it could be a cool new album to experience. There's a lot of cool albums kind of coming on the near horizon for next year that I think are worthy of lots of attention. So hopefully that will be a good thing for everybody. So headline number 4, just kind of a quick one. The band Opeth just announced that they're parting ways with their drummer Martin Axenrot. Axenrot has been playing with Opeth since 2006 on drums. So he's been a long-term member of the group, and a lot of people love his playing, and he's such an integral member. So it was pretty big news for the Opeth camp. But it looks like they're bringing in drummer Sami Karppinen of Therion for their upcoming tour. So not necessarily a full-time member as of this time, but definitely going to be playing with them for their upcoming dates. So it says, due to conflict of interest, Martin Axenrot is no longer part of the Opeth collective. His replacement for the North American tour with Mastodon and Zeal and Ardor will be powerhouse drummer Sami Karppinen. His first show will take place November 16th, so it took place at Harrah's Cherokee Center in Asheville, North Carolina. So definitely too bad that Axe had to leave the group, but it sounds like they're moving forward and that things will be okay, So just wanted to mention that, since there may be some Opeth fans in the audience here, and I thought it was notable news. So hopefully the new drummer will work out and they'll continue to do well. So they're definitely a band to watch, and we'll see as they continue forward what that means. So, and then finally, as headline number 5, a band that I have a lot of interest in is releasing a new Blu-ray release. This is Karnivool releasing Blu-ray Decade of Sound Awake. This was a live stream performance they did, and it sounds like they weren't originally planning to really release this as a release, from what I remember. They had to cancel their big tour, like many bands did, and so they kind of did this performance of Sound Awake, singled out in a venue, singled out for its incredible contemporary design, unique acoustic properties. The performance had a full run through of the Sound Awake album and key songs from other albums and some new material. So this was a broadcast that happened on May 12th of this year, And within hours of this release, people were clamoring for some kind of, Blu-ray release or some kind of physical version that they could obtain of the concert. And so this is them finally relenting based on all of the requests and people clamoring for it. So they're coming out with a Blu-ray on December 10th, 2021 of this Sound Awake concert. So sounds like it should be a really cool thing to really experience, because Karnivool is a really cool band. They're from Australia. They're really unique in what they do. They kind of have this heavier kind of progressive metal side, but a little bit of an alternative mixture. They're really cool, and I think they're one of the premier level bands that just really have great quality music. They're just really great players, great writers, and have come out with some great releases over the years. So I think this could be an incredible release that could really be kind of stunning in its presentation. So definitely one I'm going to look for, and good for like a Christmas list, perhaps. If you're looking for some items to put on your Christmas list, this could be one of those. So should be a cool release, and wanted to highlight it. So that's really the news that I had for today. Those are the main things. There's a couple of new noteworthy cool releases coming out today. The top two that are really interesting for me is the new Ross Jennings solo album that I've been really excited about, which I plan to do a review for. So check that one out with Ross Jennings, Shadow of My Future Self. He's released several singles from it. I haven't heard the full album yet, but plan to soon after being finished with this video, and plan to release a review next week for it. So it's been one I've been anticipating. All the singles leading up to the release have been fantastic. It's not really overtly proggy, even though Ross Jennings, of course, is known for his stint with Haken. He's the lead singer of Haken, who are a premier progressive metal band. But this is more pop influenced, and it's kind of a surprising array of influences that you wouldn't expect based on his Haken work. But here we are, and he loves a lot of different pop and rock and arena rock type music. And so it should be a really cool release that I'm anticipating. And the new Thank You Scientist EP is another one I want to mention that is releasing today that I'm really excited about, Plague Accommodations. So getting some new material from there, even though it's a shorter album, but it should be a really cool release that will be indicative of where they're heading on their future tour, I suppose. I believe their tour is starting right around now. And so they'll probably be playing some material from that. They're one of my favorite groups, so I wanted to mention that. Just a fantastic, modern, progressive, even though they may not want to be called progressive band, that draws a lot of influences from like jazz and even funk in some respects, and rock, and just all these different genres into a cool melting pot. They have horns and a violin and just a really interesting structure of instruments that I think really provides a unique sound. So they're one of my favorite bands out right now, so I wanted to mention that. So beyond that, for the channel, really had a good week as usual. I had a fun time with Jana where we react to a Tool song, Schism, and we had a lot of fun with that. I know maybe some of my viewers maybe don't care for Tool. They're more in the classic prog vein, but Tool is more, modern and more alternative and heavier. So I know that's not for everyone, but it seems like a lot of people have been enjoying it, so I'm happy about that. We had a really cool bonus show this week. I encourage you to check it out if you haven't yet, where Jana picked out the prettiest album covers in my collection. She just went out through my shelves and just kind of scoured them for the ones that struck her, even though she had no idea what the music of the album sounds like. And it was just a fun show. She kind of took over the show and talked about these different covers. And so a lot of maybe more obscure modern prog albums, but I think it was an interesting group of releases that I think could be fun for anyone who knows a lot of these different prog bands. Coming up on the channel, I'm really planning a lot for December, and I have a plan to do a lot of year-end type content because I really love the year-end type shows. I talked about it a lot in my last New Music Friday, just year-end stuff, year-end honorable mentions, favorite albums, favorite songs, all of that stuff. Maybe favorite moments, favorite New Music Friday headlines, things like that. I think there's going to be a lot of that kind of show. I'm planning a couple bonus episodes with my wife that I think will be fun, based around Christmas, and her birthday comes up shortly after that, so definitely some things in the works. I'm still plotting out my Dream Theater album rankings, which should be coming not this upcoming week, but the week after is what I'm thinking of doing. I'm still listening through a couple of the last Dream Theater albums on my list, but all in all, just a lot going on that I'm excited for. That Ross Jennings review, like I said, should be coming out next week, and so just a lot of fun to be had on Nathan on Shuffle. I hope you guys are enjoying the channel and enjoying some of these shows. I really appreciate all the feedback I've been getting, all the great comments, and just I'm just so grateful for it. It's just so cool to be able to have a fan base that's kind of engaged and love progressive rock like I do, and we can talk about our favorite albums and other things, and there's a variety of different shows to get into, so I hope you guys have been enjoying that. Next week also will be the next Classic Albums 101 episode with me and Jana, so that should be a good one to check out. We're covering the Rolling Stones on that show, and I think we had a pretty fascinating discussion about it, and I'm excited to release that one. So just a lot of cool stuff. So once again, you guys are so great. I really appreciate and respect my entire audience, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. I really would appreciate it. The more subscribers I get, the more I can grow things and plan even bigger, better shows in a sense. So I really respect and appreciate those who subscribed, those who watch regularly. I really appreciate it. I do these New Music Fridays every week, trying to bring some interesting prog news to the attention of my viewership, and hopefully there's something in here for you and you guys like these shows. So thank you guys again, and hopefully I'll catch you in another video. Bye.